one of the biggest reasons why it's so hard to do something again, especially when we talk about do something successful again, is because there are a lot of time. Especially in football, there's a lot of factors that go into doing something again successfully. There's a lot of things that have to go right for you to do something again. And when we're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, we're not talking about doing something again. We're talking about doing something again for the third time. There is a reason why there has never been a team in the history of the NFL, in the Super Bowl era, to win 3 straight Super Bowl championships. There is so much, whether we talk about nutrition, whether we talk about motivation, whether we talk about just teams as far as free agency and trades and salary cap. And there is so much that goes into a team's ability to repeat that if one of those things are off, it can drastically derail a team's chances, which we have seen time and time and time again. I'm not saying that Sunday was the official close, or I'm not saying that Sunday is the chapter, or is the we should completely close the book on the Kansas City Chiefs three-peating. But when you essentially lose your best wide receiver in Rashid Rice for the season with an ACL tear, on top of that, not all 4-0s are the same. The Minnesota, we'll talk about it later, but the Minnesota Vikings 4-0 looks much different than the Chiefs 4-0. I will give them credit. The Chiefs continue to win. It doesn't matter. They win. They beat the Ravens. They beat the Bengals. They beat the Chargers. They continue to find ways to win. Not one game. In fact, I will go as far as to say every single game that the Kansas City Chiefs has played, the other quarterback has seemingly played better than Patrick Mahomes, outside of the big moments that you need Patrick Mahomes to shine. I think he was outplayed by Lamar Jackson. I think he was outplayed by Joe Burrow. I even think on Sunday he was outplayed by Justin Herbert in some plays. But this just speaks to the greatness of Patrick Mahomes. If you give him opportunity, he's going to seize it. But seeing how human Patrick Mahomes has looked, seeing how the connection, even though it did wake up on Sunday, the connection with him and Travis Kelce haven't been the greatest this year. Again, even though Travis Kelce did have sort of a breakout game. I understand that the 4 pillars, I talked about this. If the Kansas City Chiefs have the 4 pillars, they are Super Bowl contenders. That is Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, and Andy Reid. If they have all 4 of those healthy, that they're Super Bowl contenders. You have one of the best defensive players, probably the best defensive end in football, or defensive tackle in football. You have the best quarterback in football. You have arguably the best tight end in football, and you have arguably the best coach in football. You have all 3 of those, or all 4 of those, you got yourself a Super Bowl contender. But we're really about to see the makeup of Patrick Mahomes and this Kansas City Chiefs team, because remember, they're also dealing with an injury to Isaiah Pacheco, who is a huge loss. And even though Kareem Hunt is and used to be on this team, he's not the Kareem Hunt of old. And this, I don't, obviously they can go and get someone in the trade deadline, which the Kansas City Chiefs do have a history of not being hesitant. If they need to go get a position, they'll go get it. So they could go trade for somebody, and all this can be mute. But when you look at that wide receiver core, now you're asking people that haven't needed to step up. Now they have to, like Xavier Worthy, and I think he has all the talent in the world to step up, but he's still a rookie. Or Sky Moore, who hasn't really done much of anything. You're already down Hollywood Brown. So I'm not saying that not having Rashid Rice ultimately spells the Kansas City Chiefs not winning, not completing the three-peat. But what I'm saying is not having Rashid Rice makes it 10 times more difficult, especially when you see when you see teams around you and how they're getting better week after week. Like the team I just talked about in the Baltimore Ravens. And I'm not going to disrespect them. Let's talk about the Chargers for a second. Obviously, how do I say this without sounding disrespectful? Because I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I don't know if there's a good way of me saying this without sounding disrespectful, so I'm just going to say it, and I don't mean any disrespect by it. There is a difference between the NFL and college. That's obvious. And I expect Jim Harbaugh to understand that. Seeing as though he has found success in college, he has found success in the NFL. But I think he has to... I don't know if it's the way that they practice. I don't know if it's just the players, but it seems like week after week after week, more and more players continue to drop for the Chargers. Injury after injury after injury. And it's just like, all right, something's like, whoa. I know that there's people that had extremely high hopes about this Chargers team this year. And I think that week after week, injury after injury, those hopes are constantly getting dashed. Look, I'm still holding out hope for Justin Herbert to bloom into one of those upper echelon quarterbacks. He has all the talent to be an upper echelon quarterback. He has the moments of him looking like an upper echelon quarterback. And I even started talking about this game as to say that Justin Herbert in a lot of areas of this game outplayed Patrick Mahomes. But it's been few and far between. And on top of that, when you see everyone around him, including himself, continue to get hurt, I'm starting to look. I have to look at the coaching staff like, yo, what's happening, bro? One or two players getting hurt, I get it. But this is 4 weeks in, and I don't think there's been a clean game for the Chargers. Meaning, I don't think that there's been a game where they left and there wasn't somebody that's like severely hurt. And on top of that, you're dealing with a talent deficiency. When you let as many players go as they did, and it doesn't really seem... I will say this, J.K. Dobbins has been good, but even J.K. Dobbins, you know what I mean? J.K. Dobbins has been good. Quentin Johnston, he's been extremely hot, then extremely cold. It's like, I don't know if you guys have played 2K, but remember the microwave badge? J.R. Smith is famous for having the microwave badge. Like, when J.R. Smith is hot, he is in fuego. Like, he is when you have J.R. Smith hot, he is probably the greatest player in 2K history. He'll hit anything. He'll hit leaners. He'll hit fadeaway threes. He'll hit laning threes. He'll dunk on anybody. When J.R. Smith is hot on NBA 2K, it's over with. You have yourself a win. Congratulations to you. But when he's cold, he is the worst player in 2K history. That's kind of how Quentin Johnson is. When Quentin Johnson, he's hitting, when he catches bombs, like, oh shoot, there's a talent that they drafted him for. They saw at TCU, but then he'll have like a huge play, and then he'll have a moment where he needs to make a big play, and he'll drop the ball. It's like, yeah, that's the Quentin Johnson we've used to, hot and cold. For the Chargers side, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I don't know if they're getting coached too hard, if they're practicing too hard. But this is yet another week where there has been major injuries for the Chargers. Like, something's got to give. And for the Chiefs, if there's one player that you could not afford to get hurt, especially for the year right now, that's Rashid Rice, and that's exactly what we saw. Well, congratulations to the Chiefs for beating the Chargers 17-10, but I think that we have more question marks coming out of both teams out of this game than we had before. And I hope for a healthy, speedy recovery for Rashid Rice. I don't know if the reports have officially come out, but all signs are pointing to an ACL tear. And we know how long of a rehab that takes. I hope that he has people surrounding him that love him, and I hope that he gets back on the field as soon as he can. Because I'm sure there's no other place Rashid Rice would want to be right now than on the football field. So shouts out to them, and I hope for a speedy recovery. Oh, man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.